All right, welcome to an admin corner, commissioner corner here. We have all but Oscar, so Beelis is here, Millzz is here, and Waltz is here. As we're going to do our admin discussion about the divisional breakout, the keepers that everyone has brought forward, and our expectations for Madden 23 season number 1. Gentlemen, say hello.
How we doing, guys?
Hello.
So I believe the first order of business that we have for tonight is to actually start getting through and talking about the team. So, Beelis, why don't you get us rolling here with that first division that you had prepped?
Prepped is a strong word. But going down, I guess the list that we have here, we'll start in the AFC, and we'll start right there in the North. Obviously, a very interesting draft overall. I think this is one of the most balanced drafts that we've had in a while, where you're not really saying that one side's dominant and the other side is looking like it's got some people that are, just need to improve a bit in order to kind of level things out, I guess you could technically say. Or players that, don't have the proven track records quite yet that could always, create their own track record and then the next Madden. But obviously looking here, we got Gonzo, who got an absolute steal with the Browns in pick 31, so second to last. We had the Browns, which was a shock to most to still be on the board. Oscar, who's not here at the moment, taking the Steelers, right there, probably smack dab in the middle or just slightly higher than the middle. Malibu returning to GZ, taking the Ravens, and then obviously our King Deke getting the Cincinnati Bengals, all bringing over keepers with abilities. So Gonzo just reinforcing that line of the Browns. As some of us have already played the game, we know that the defensive line is incredibly scary. So to have an X-Factor defensive tackle and Javier Sanders to go along, Myles Garrett right there on the line, I'm sure it's going to be problems for quarterbacks, not in just his division, but anybody he comes up against, and could definitely help him throughout the year. Oscar bringing over Mike McLean, an X-Factor, young, high-rated corner, definitely a spot in need for the Steelers, so get some speed and get some ability out there on the edges there in the secondary. I think will be a nice addition for the Steelers, and it's a great fit to have someone like Mike McLean there. Malibu adding Jose Griffin to replace essentially Hollywood Brown with the Ravens, and then Deke has Caleb Callaway, who he just drafted in our final Madden 22 draft, to go alongside Jesse Bates. But I just also saw he put Jesse Bates on the block, so maybe it allows him to do something where he can move Jesse Bates, who's a good player, high-rated player, and get an absolute haul for him that he's able to then use on weak parts of his team. So overall, it's a very interesting division. Some good players, good additions. I think all their keepers make sense for the teams that they have, and I think, obviously based on track record, Oscar and Malibu are probably the top two, but I wouldn't be surprised if Deke, or with, like we talked about, with how we've had but how people have struggled early on in Madden 23 to stop defensive lines. I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzo is an early beneficiary.
Is it worth noting, too, that Caleb Callaway, as the free safety rookie, number 11 overall in the draft, comes in with 99 awareness, 99 play rec, and can easily also slot in as the other safety, so he could actually keep Jesse Bates and Callaway running together.
Yeah, also the fact that the dude's 88 overall, which is probably the highest that any of us have ever seen. So he's an absolute gem and an absolute steal right there at the end.
Well, for some reason, we are getting frame rate drops, so hopefully that doesn't affect the audio, but I will double check it later. I remember who was supposed to be covering the AFC East. I think, was it Waltz covering the East?
Sure. Absolutely zero prep, but I'm ready for it.
Let's go.
So this might be my favorite division in the whole league. Honestly, I'm excited to watch all these guys play. Obviously, Jelly coming back. I think all of us are excited just to have him, and he even gets his favorite team along with a 86 overall X-Factor receiver, because we all know that Patriots receiving core is, very ass. So having him plus that Tyquan Thornton, who they drafted, has like 95 speed, so he's got those guys going right off the bat, very young, very fast. So he'll give Mac Jones and his 85 throw power some speed to dump down to and get some yards immediately. I think Jelly is a sleeper pick in this division. A lot of people are going to be seeing or talking more about Chandy, Beelis based off track records, but people also forget Jelly's last season in GZ, he went to the Super Bowl. So, who knows? I mean, he's got a good overall team to compete, but he's in a tough division. He's got Chandy, who might have been the most improved player in Madden in the last cycle, and he gets Josh Allen to throw to Diggs and his keeper receiver, Vernon Wall, who's, 97 speed. So those two guys, plus Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, that's an insane offense for someone who definitely might have been one of our top guys on offense last year. Ballast obviously taking the Jets. Kind of on the other side of the ball, you got Mello Barrington, his keeper, which, we all hear about more than we want. But him and Sauce Gardner, that's about as fun as it gets there. And if you haven't looked at his trade block yet, you'll see all the fast cornerbacks that he has, and that's a fun team to start with, and it's only going to go up from there. And you even got Zach Wilson on the other side, a franchise quarterback you can develop with Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, if he keeps them. That's just off the top of my head, but it's an interesting pick at number 2. I'm not gonna lie, but it's definitely a fun team to pick. And then you got Nate with the Dolphins, which I'm excited to see Nate's offense, because you got his keeper quarterback that he just drafted in the last draft, Kevin Murphy, who has I think it was 94, 95 speed. Then he's throwing to guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who have 99 and 97 speed. And he has Raheem Mostert, a running back, who has 95 speed. So it's good luck to other defenses stopping that.
I didn't realize he had all of that speed. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him and Bellis' matchup, because you got Bellis' guys like Sauce Gardner, Mello with their speed going up against Nate's receivers. So that'll be interesting. I really think all of these guys can each win that division at least one time. I think it will happen too. I'm anxious to see how that goes, because all those guys have made the playoffs in the past, so it's going to be very competitive and very fun.
It is also worth noting too, whereas in the AFC North we had 3 defensive keepers brought forward and a single wide receiver. On this one, in the AFC East, we have the 3 offensive guys and then Mello, so...
Yeah, lots of speed coming over in that division too.
Indeed. Alright, so moving to the AFC South. Millzz, hit us off.
Alrighty. So first off, we have the Colts. We have Ant taking over his favorite team. I don't think that was too much of a surprise when we seen his name coming up. He's bringing over wide receiver Benjamin McClain. It looks like he's at 81 overall X Factor. Was super young. 22 years old. I think the Colts, probably the biggest need that they have is their receiving core, in my opinion. So I think he's filling a decent gap right there. Next, Titans with Waltz. He brought over Jason Turk, a 99 X Factor corner. Just one of the better users with one of his favorite guys to take over on the outside. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Pretty sure you like using him.
Sometimes.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think it's just a great piece. I think. Whenever I played you in the last edition, his name was popping up all over. Let's see. Next, we got the Jaguars with Victor. He's bringing over a middle linebacker. It looks like Eric Terry, 75 overall superstar. I'm 23 years old. I'm sure that there's a lot of places that he's trying to hit rebuilding wise on his squad. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses his Eric Terry that he's bringing over. And last but not least, we have our very own Tornado at the Houston Texans. He's bringing over old reliable quarterback Noah Floyd at a young age of 31. So, we've all seen you use him throughout the last 2 editions, I guess. Know that he's a beast. So, I guess what were you guys predicting your divisions standings wise?
Yeah, let's go back to Beelis here real quick before Millzz finishes. Beelis, where did you feel this division lines up 1 through 4 at the end of season 1?
The AFC South.
No, for the AFC
no,
North, for the division
North.
review, we forgot to ask.
Oh, okay. I think Malibu finishes first. Give me Oscar to finish second. Give me Deke to finish third, and give me Gonzo, maybe because we haven't seen him in GZ yet. Give me him at the bottom. But if you need me to pick a sleeper to do anything, I'm still picking Deke. I'm not picking Alex not this year, but maybe season 2. We'll see how season 1 does.
All right. Waltz, what are your thoughts on the AFC East finish?
Oh, that's tough, man. Like I said, literally any of these, I think all of these guys are going to win this division at one point, so it's just luck of the draw. If I had to go year 1, based off the roster, I'm going to say Chandy wins that division. I think Beelis comes in a close second. I think all the 4 of these teams finish over 500 in the first season. I'm going to go Chandy, Beelis, Jelly, and then Nate. But I think Nate still, goes like 9 and 8 at least. But the AFC is pretty stacked, so it's going to take more than that to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
All right, and Millzz, go ahead and finish up with the AFC South, sir.
Yeah. I think for the first season, at least, I think 1 and 2 are probably interchangeable between yourself and Noah. And I think Victor probably falls into the third, and I'm going to give a season to Ant to get him back and warmed up to Madden. But I think, when I think he'll have a lot more interest with his favorite team and be able to, have more knowledge around the squad and stuff like that. So I think he'll still build a pretty decent squad. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take over talking about the AFC West here. We got Dylan, who swapped his keeper. He actually is now bringing forward a superstar right tackle, which I think is going to be a pretty big move. We're going to see it pay off pretty quickly with the way the defenses are pressuring the quarterbacks this year. We've seen a lot of the edge rushers just blasting through the line and getting sacks before the quarterback even finishes their drop back. So Dylan coming in here with the Kansas City Chiefs, probably one of the best rosters, a very good offense, and so far in his preseason games, Dylan has performed very, very well. So I'm very curious to see how this translates once GZ gets rolling. Chuck returns, takes over the Denver Broncos, and he brings forward wide receiver Jalen Barrington. This is an X-Factor wide receiver, game changer, especially since the Broncos do have weapons. I would have said they would have been very easily taken care of with Russell Wilson, but Chuck is already making a move to get rid of Russell. So I don't know where that's going to fall for the Denver Broncos. I believe he is trying to acquire a quarterback, but based on the new passing mechanics and definitely the slowed down throwing animations that we have seen, this might actually give Chuck a bit more of a headache than he realizes, and especially since he's already played a few games in practice, and I believe he's only won 1, and he's lost a few, so where Chuck would have been a very high contender, I don't know right now where this is going to leave him off. Similarly, Millzz has not yet played. Millzz brings over probably the best keeper in the division with Keenan Pitts, the middle linebacker. And he also has an absolutely disgusting pass rush. He's got Jadeveon Clowney, he's got Joey Bosa, and now you've got Keenan Pitts kind of anchoring the middle with Derwin on the outside. And JC Jackson as a shutdown number 1 corner. So I think in terms of the way the division's breaking out, with Justin Herbert on the offensive side, I think Millzz should be dominant in this AFC West for at least season 1. But moving forward, I think Millzz is going to be my number 1 team here. And then
you forgot Khalil Mack too.
Oh, I meant Khalil Mack, not Jadeveon Clowney.
No pressure.
Yeah, Clowney's up in what, Cleveland? Or did he move too?
I don't know. He's always somewhere different.
But no, and then talking about Scott and the Raiders. Scott must just be happy not to have to deal with Waltz this year. I think the last 3 cycles of Madden, Scott has been in Waltz's division, and this will be a nice break for him, except that he finds himself with Chuck. So it'll be very interesting to see how Scott kind of contends in this whole different picture. He's usually been with Waltz and with Pooj, This time he'll actually have an entirely different mix of people to contend with. For Season 1, like I said, I think Millzz is a slam dunk for Season 1 for the AFC West. It's going to depend now between whether Chuck or Dylan really settles in for the number 2 slot. I would have said Chuck is a slam dunk prior, but again, with his practice game so far, and with him moving from Russell Wilson, I would not be surprised to see Dylan as number 2. Although, the other thing with Dylan, and this will also apply to Scott, both of these guys can put up big numbers when they're focused, but if they fall behind, they get into slinger, run it up mode, just trying to huck it downfield. If they do that, Chuck will be able to still rely on his good defensive skills and lock in number 2. But for right now, I'm going to say Millzz. We're going to say Chuck. I'm still going to give Chuck number 2. And then we're going to go Dylan and then Scott for season number 1. So
do we see Dylan
I think,
in the playoffs season 1?
Sorry.
Do we see Dylan like 4 seed, 5 seed maybe in season 1 with the fact that all of us seem to be struggling in some way, shape, or form, and Dylan's just dominating these preseason.
I was gonna say I think he sneaks into like a 6 or 7.
I think one player that we will be talking about throughout the cycle is going to be Devontae Adams. I think Scott's going to have a field day with that man.
I keep forgetting Devontae's on the Raiders too.
All right, so now that we're finished with the AFC, I want everyone to give their predicted 7 teams for the playoffs for season 1.
Jeez.
Ooh, all right. I'll lead this off here. So, my predicted division leader or division winners for this first season, I think it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Do you want them in specific order?
No.
Yes.
Just
do it.
I mean, you can.
All right. I'm going to give it in order. So, I'm going to say I think Millzz takes the number 1 seed in the AFC for season number 1.
Jeez.
I believe number 2 is going to be Waltz with the Tennessee Titans. I think number 3 for season 1. I think season 1 number 3 is going to be Chandy, and then number 4 is going to be Malibu. And then for our wild card teams, I believe we're going to see Beelis in there as the Jets. I think we're going to see, depending again on my analysis of the AFC West, it's either going to be Chuck or Dylan as number 6, and then I think we're going to see Oscar in there as number 7.
I completely just missed the ball like right off the top. I'm looking at this, and this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I like how balanced I feel like it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess I'll go next then, since I'm already talking. Sorry.
That's fine.
Let's go. I'm gonna take Waltz at the top just because until proven otherwise. Let's do it. So he's gonna be our 1. Let me see. I think Chandy finishes 2nd. I do think since I've joined GZ, he's definitely the most improved player we've seen. And I think he is very good. And I think our division is very fun. But yeah, I think you're right. Talent-wise alone on that team, I think he gets 2. Give me Malibu for 3. And then give me Rick for 4. I'm actually going to take, I'll take myself 5, Dylan 6. And let's snag Victor 7. I think, no offense, Jaden, I think the Texans are an absolute train wreck. There is some promising pieces, but it's going to take more than a season to sort it out.
I fully agree with that.
There's a handful of pieces that you'll have, but you can't figure it out 1 year. So there's that. I think Oscar's got to, I think his team's almost there. I think Kenny Pickett's not as good as I think we're going to think he's going to be. I think Nate and Jelly, honestly, I could see like a 4-way tie for stuff. I could see like Nate, Jelly, Oscar, Jaden, Victor, like all finishing tied, and then there's some random tiebreaker that breaks it out. Chuck's in there. Honestly, Scott could be there too. So
I was gonna say
I will include that Oscar got shut out with Kenny Pickett against Dylan in a preseason game.
If I'm gonna, those are the 7 I'm gonna take in order. But if there's teams that I think are also going to finish above 500 and miss out on the playoffs somehow, I'm thinking that it's going to be Nate. I'm thinking it's going to be Jaden. I'm thinking it's going to be Chuck. That are like right there on the cusp.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Rick.
All right. I'll just do the 4 division winners and then I'll rank them afterwards. Let's see here. I'm gonna give Oscar the AFC North. I think he was definitely a headache to play last year, and I mean he's got some pieces there he can work with too. Let's see, AFC East. I'd probably have to give that one to Shandy just because of the squad that he has around him, and he was on a roll towards the end of Madden 22. AFC South. I've got to give that one to Waltz too for sure. Like Bell said, I guess just until proven otherwise. But I think, like I said, I think 1 and 2 are dang near interchangeable between him and Tornado. So, but yeah, I think season 1 just kind of a more established team.
Very kind of you to say that. That Texans team is, like Bell said, that Texans roster is a nightmare, and especially with the way our division's shaped. Yeah, I think Waltz has to be that.
I still think you'll find a decent amount of success just because of the user that you are. But, I mean, you're definitely going to be a hell of a lot better off than someone not your skill level taking over the Texans. So I think you'll find a way. But
Fair.
But yeah, and AFC West, I think it's a toss-up between me and Chuck. I think if, Chuck gets as interested as he did in Madden, like the first half of Madden 22, I think I'm in some deep water there because he's a really good user, and I think our games are going to be a lot of fun. But I'll just go ahead and take myself winning that. So let's see here. So I had Oscar, Shandy, Noah, and myself. I'll probably just go Noah, Shandy, myself, and Oscar at 1, 2, 3, 4. And then wild card spots, I'll give 1 to Chuck, 1 to Timmy Tornado, and then I'll give the last to Beelis. And in no order, the wild card. I'm not too sure where you guys are going to fall in there, but yeah, those are my 7.
All right. I also think Oscar's going to win that division. I think. Yeah, I was in his division last cycle, and it was always tough, man. And he has a way better overall team than he did when he started with the Giants. The Steelers' defense is insanely good, and their biggest hole is corner, and that's what he's bringing over as a keeper. So, I mean, plus you got the receiving core with Deontay, Claypool, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and you got Freiermuth, Najee Harris.
Oh, isn't what's his name, Deontay, also a superstar?
Yeah.
He is looking to trade him, but who knows if he'll hang on to him.
Mm-hmm. But just off experience, Mel was very good, so I think he's going to finish a close second, but I'm going to take Oscar to win that division. As I already mentioned, I think Chandy wins that division by a hair. I think I'm probably going to take 3 teams out of the division for my playoffs. I can't bet against myself, but I think it's going to be pretty close too. I mean, Victor's known to be a good player. Same with Jaden. I don't know. I really haven't seen Ant play that much, but you never know, man. That Colts team's pretty good. But I'm gonna choose myself. AFC West. I gotta go Rick, based off teams right now. I think Chuck, by season 2 or 3, will sneak in a division title. But I think right now I'm going to go with Rick. So, I mean, not too much different from your guys' picks. But I'm going to say Chandy gets the 1 seed. And I'm going to say Rick gets the 2. I'll give myself the 3, Oscar the 4. I just don't know how I feel about my team just yet, based off how young it is, and we'll see. But my wildcard teams, I'm going to give it to... Oh, man. I'm definitely going to give Beelis 1. I'm definitely going to give Jaden 1. even with that crappy roster, I mean, you got a 99 overall quarterback, so it's still going to be doable.
Yeah, especially with how big the quarterback play is for this year.
Oh, this last one's tough. I'm gonna give it to Jelly, man. I think Jelly's gonna sneak in there. Chuck, I mean, prove me wrong, but you're my other option, so I think it'll be Jelly or Chuck. But I think Jelly's gonna be a sleeper pick, man. Once he gets in a groove, he's gonna be tough to stop, even in that tough division. So, like I said, I'm taking 3 of that division.
Yeah, and again, like we've kind of been talking about with my team bringing Floyd, we've already seen how the game has changed this year with slower throwing animations, relying on superstar abilities to be faster. I think it's going to be quite different for the guys who are so used to taking a middling or average quarterback, like looking at, for example, Oscar with, who was that from the Saints that he liked?
Ian Book.
How he brought up Ian Book, or how Waltz brought up Danny Dimes. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a difference this year from the good quarterbacks to the not so good ones. And so guys who are moving them, like, again, I pointed out earlier, Chuck is trading Russell Wilson. I think he's going to realize a little bit too late that that's not a move he would have made off the keep. So it's going to be pretty interesting seeing how the rest of these divisions break out. But the AFC is definitely a tough battle, top to bottom. We might all have a pretty strong agreement in terms of the top 3 teams, because I think all 4 of us agreed on it. But I mean, after that, there's probably a good, I think every team in the AFC is going to be pretty competitive. So
do we want to give our picks to come out of the AFC, or are we saving that since we're all doing that?
I was gonna wait until I got everybody's picks in, and then I was.
Yeah, we'll wait on it.
I'll share with everybody once I have all.
Yeah, gotcha.
Alright, so moving forward now to the NFC North. Who wants to grab the division with the hometown Bears?
I can start it off since I did the AFC North and just go do that again. I'm very excited for this division. Obviously, I think Squibb and Jump have been, they're friends. They have some good battles with each other. I think they both have a couple of very good teams. I'm very excited to see what Jump can do with the Lions. He's got a lot of promise, especially on offense. The defense is a bit suspect, but he's bringing over a 94 superstar quarterback to go along with DeAndre Swift and Jameson Williams, and now they have DJ Chark and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you can't forget about TJ Hawkinson, and their line's stacked. Like, their offense is already set, so he's basically good for the cycle on that, and just has to focus on the defensive side of the thing. But I'm very excited to see what he does with that, and I think he's going to be a very good team right off the bat. Obviously, Squibb with the Packers. As a Packers fan, I'm very pumped to see another Packers fan tag, the green and gold. But it should be very interesting. Their defense is top to bottom incredible. Maybe one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, especially from an ad standpoint with big devs and everything right off the bat. So he's bringing over a receiver, as everybody's well aware. The Packers' biggest need is wide receiver, so I think it'll slot in nicely. And Squibb's a good player already, so to give him a very good team that he got pretty late. Very excited to see what he does there. The Tiger taking over the Bears. I know a lot of Bears fans are in our league. I'm hoping that they're rooting for him to do well. He's bringing over a receiver as well. They just lost Allen Robinson, so should be a good little pairing with him and Darnell Mooney to go along with Justin Fields. Cole Kmet, can't forget about him. There's a handful of good pieces. I'm assuming our rosters are locked in now, so he'll have more fun even if he gets traded in the next however long. We'll see if that happens at all. But he's been, statistically, at least in the middle of the pack, 500 or so. So he's always playing up a good fight against a lot of teams. It just makes that division that much better. And then, of course, you got Blake, who's done a lot with, the Raiders last cycle. That was a team that not a whole lot of people wanted. He made the most out of that situation. So to give him, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, a few promising pieces on that Vikings defense. There's a bit of rebuilding in some spots to work with, but when you have someone like Mason Abrams starting to rock around, Irv Smith, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, he should be all right. So it's a very interesting division. I think it's a very balanced division, top to bottom. I would, if you're asking me to pick right now for season 1, top to bottom, give me Squibb at the top in the Packers. Go Pack Go. Give me Blake actually to finish second with the Vikings. Give me Jump in a close third, if not tied with Blake, and then we'll take the Tiger fourth. But I would not be surprised if you see everyone in that division right around that 500 or better.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough division, even with the way some of the teams break out. I know the Lions and the Bears are not rated too highly, but I feel like both of those guys could be competitive, especially Jump. We know Jump used to go toe-to-toe with Noah, and I think everyone agrees that Noah is one of our better players. So, similar to my situation, he brings forward a quarterback like Tim Edwards, and I think he's still competitive regardless. So
It's our only division where all keepers are offense.
Did you say Squibb was a Packers fan?
He's a Packers fan.
I thought he was a Colts fan. For some reason.
I think he's a Colts fan.
I thought he was a Packers fan. He said it when he took the team.
Oh, did he? I don't know.
I thought he was a Colts fan.
Oh, I thought he was a Packers fan. Well, if he's not, sorry, Squibb. I'm adopting you as a Packers fan. You're a Packers fan now. But
He's got to be now.
I swear to God. I think that's the one thing that hurts Jump, though. I know a few of us have played a few games. And defense is kind of, especially on things like the line, has kind of been king. And that defense, I mean, obviously you have Aiden Hutchinson and Jeff Okuda, and they have Deshaun Elliott and Tracy Walker. He kind of build around a bit, but that is a big wolf on the defensive side of the ball.
So who wants to take the NFC East?
I can go ahead and take it. Just keep going in the same order, I guess.
Didn't I do
Alright. So for the NFC East, so first we have the Cowboys. T. White taking them, and he's bringing over cornerback Andrew Blake. Looks like he's 27 years old and X Factor at 95 overall. I mean, he's a fantastic user taking over a highly rated team. So I think right off the bat, he's going to be a force to reckon with in the NFC East. Second, we have the Eagles, and Nick took them with the first overall pick. And he's bringing over safety Peter Walton, 96 overall X Factor. I think Nick's going to do really, really well with the Eagles. Since it's his favorite team, I think he knows the ins and outs. And like I said before with other guys, I think he just started coming along a lot better at the end of the last edition. So it'll be fun to see him use his favorite team and just kind of know all the ins and outs of the Eagles. Third team we have the Giants. Welcome Estrada back to GZ. He's bringing over cornerback Lance Cheeks, as 87 overall, safety. Even with, I think, he has the second lowest overall team behind you, Jaden. Or I guess in front of you. But, I mean, I think he's always just a super, super good user. So, I mean, so far, just these top three that I've been naming off, it might not be as clear as I thought. And coming in, last but not least, with the Washington football team, we have Roadhouse taking them over. He's bringing over quarterback Eric Johnson, a 79 overall All-Star. I don't really recall hearing much about Eric Johnson. Just kind of looking over his stats from last season, he's kind of even on touchdowns and interceptions. So I'm not sure if he was using him or that was one of the keepers in the pool doing that.
I believe Roadhouse, when he was the Titans,
He had him. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the numbers that he put up with him aren't terrible. It looks like he's kind of a pocket passer because he doesn't have too many rushing yards with him, but not too highly rated overall. But I think if he was running with him for an entire season, he kind of knows how to use him. So, or at least one season, I guess. He's 24 years old, so I'm not too sure how long he's had him, a year or two or not. But let's see here. This is going to be tough, top to bottom. First season, I think I'm just going to give the division to T. White. I had to play him multiple times last edition. He's a super good user with a super highly rated overall team with a lot of good different pieces. So coming in at second, I'm gonna give it to Nick just because I think he knows the ins and outs. But I think I don't know. I think 2 and 3 could kind of be interchangeable with him and Estrada. It's just gonna like I said before, Estrada's a super good user too. But I don't know if that roster is gonna hold him down for at least a season. But I know that he's probably done better with worse. So I'm just gonna interchange them at 2 and 3, and I think Roadhouse will probably finish out 4th at least for the first season.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, because Estrada also drafted Cheeks way back when Cheeks was first brought forward, and then Estrada left early in the Madden iteration last year. So him coming back and being able to grab Cheeks again is pretty funny. But all right, I will take the NFC South. That way, Waltz at least has a better division to talk about, I think, and also because. This is a really interesting division to me.
Damn! Wait, what?
Don't act like don't act.
All right, so no, what I was really thinking. I know we all gave Q a lot of a hard time overtaking the Falcons because I think traditionally speaking, this division is probably the weakest division in all of GZ right now. They've all got the potential to compete, but unfortunately over the past couple of years, their track records are a little bit more difficult. So part of that is these guys have been paired up with some of our toughest competitors. I think Whiff has been in Waltz's division, my division, and I want to say Chandy's division. Chandler's been with Beelis, with Bling. So I mean, and Lycan's been with everyone in that AFC West and the NFC West. So these guys have gone through a gauntlet when it comes to facing top tier opponents. One of the interesting things for this division is you have 3 quarterbacks being brought forward. You got With bringing Philip Hewitt, who's an X-Factor quarterback. Chandler's bringing Michael Fowler, who's a rookie superstar quarterback. And Lycan's bringing Scott Armstrong, who is a 98 X-Factor quarterback. And then you got Q coming in with Cortez Pace. Now, looking at the rosters, these are actually some of the strong, really kind of like one-sided rosters. The Saints are very heavy on the defensive side. They have some offensive pieces, but with age, it's going to take some rebuilding skill, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for With to kind of work with. The Buccaneers are one of the top teams in the league, but we already know that Chandler's trading Brady and pulling in a few rounded pieces from, I believe, the Seattle Seahawks. So it'll be interesting to see Puna Ford, and I believe it's a corner that he's getting, perform on this Buccaneers team with this new quarterback. And then Lycan taking over the Panthers. The Panthers have a lot of speed. They really only need a quarterback to kind of be competitive, so I think it's going to be fun to see him with Scott Armstrong. Q comes in with the Falcons. The Falcons have a lot of really fast, really young pieces, but they're kind of lacking in the quarterback division, and I think, like everyone else, what we've already been saying, Q's going to have to find a way to pull the most he can out of Mariota until he finds that franchise guy, because similar to what Chuck is going to see, I believe what Waltz is seeing with his quarterback, and what Oscar is seeing with his over in Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett, I think a lot of these guys who are so used to being able to make it work with the middling quarterbacks are actually going to struggle a little bit with the way this game has come out and played out, and especially with the pass rushes of those 3 teams. The Saints, the Bucs, and the Panthers have absolutely disgusting pass rushes. Like I said, I know he gave Q a lot of help.
Just to stop you right there real quick, the beneficiary of Chuck losing his quarterback is Q.
Oh, okay. Well, then hold on. I'm going to take all of that back, because I did not realize Q was the one getting Russell Wilson. Okay, so with Q getting Russell Wilson, that flips this all the way back around to where now Q should be, again, the strong front runner. There's not going to be that rebuild finding motion, so I'm glad Bell's brought that up. But again, he is going to have to deal with the 3 disgusting pass rushes that are the Saints, the Bucs, and the Panthers. I think Q is now, with him getting Russell Wilson, it moves him back into the should take this division consistently until someone comes up and rivals him. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than maybe we all initially thought when the team draft was going on. because of how Madden has revamped the pass rush. So in terms of ordering these guys, I'm going to go Q as number 1 with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to give With number 2 with the New Orleans Saints. I think Lycan takes 3 with the Carolina Panthers. And 4, I'm going to give Chandy with the Bucks, mostly just because of the quarterback situation. But Chandler's also one who used to be able to compete with people playing one-handed with a baby in his lap. So when he's really focused, I honestly don't know what he's capable of, and I'm very curious to see where the rest of you guys rate these guys when we do our division breakdown.
Nice. All right. So, NFC West. We have Andy with the Seahawks, Floppy with the Niners, Pooch with the Rams, and Zach with the Cardinals. So, I mean, you got Andy and Zach who have been to 2 of our last Super Bowls, and both come up short, sadly. But you know, they showed they could compete, and Andy won the Super Bowl 3 seasons ago. So, I'm anxious to see how he does with a rough starting Seahawks team. I mean, that defense will need to take some steps forward throughout the first couple seasons to, I think, compete. But obviously, with Andy's skill, I think he'll still make the playoffs, because obviously he showed he did it with the Texans multiple times. So I think Zach's going to put up a good fight. He's one of the more improved guys from the last couple cycles too, and he's got the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, and Hopkins, Marquise Brown, blah blah blah, and Isaiah Simmons. So I think that's going to be a fun rivalry to keep an eye on throughout the cycle. I think those two will mainly fight for the divisions throughout the cycle. They're both focusing on what we've talked about is very important now, is defensive line. Andy bringing over Luther Bowden, who's a 99 X Factor, and he's only 24 years old. So I'd say it's a solid choice to start off with. And Floppy is also bringing a D tackle, William Green. He's an 83 superstar to go with, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw. So that'll be pretty fun to start with, I'd say. Pooj is the only one in the division bringing someone on offense. He's bringing his receiver Taj Wiggins to go with Cooper Kupp, and I think he said he's planning on using Van Jefferson with those two. Oh, and Allen Robinson. Duh. I was like, I'm missing someone. So that's a great core to start with to go up against these solid defenses. And Zach's bringing Matthew Dotson. I don't remember if he was a coverage back or not.
Dotson was a coverage back.
He was coverage? Okay. So, I mean, having him with Isaiah Simmons, that's pretty damn good, I'd say. Pooj, on the other hand, I know the last season we finished in Madden 22 was kind of iffy because people were starting to stop playing. But Pooj, I think when we ended, was like 7-3, 8-3 or something with the Cardinals before he ended. So he was starting to pick it up a little bit. And he's got a pretty darn overall good team with the Rams. I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey, obviously, and that amazing defense. So he's someone to keep an eye on. And I think he will definitely compete. I don't know if he'll make the playoffs immediately, but in the long run, I think it's definitely a possibility. Floppy, I think he's always competitive. He probably misses more games due to traveling, compared to most of the league, which sucks. But I mean, he's still a good user to have. So that kind of has hurt him in the past, because I mean, I think he was leading his division when we stopped too when he was the Jags. But based off track record, it's hard to go against Andy or Zach right now to win that division. I think year one, I'm going to give it to... Man. I'm going to give it to Zach. I know Andy has Tom Brady, but I think Zach overall has a better team and is going to just beat him out. I think their matchups during the season might determine who wins that. But I think... both of them will make the playoffs for sure, but I'm going to give Zach year one. I think Andy will end the cycle with more division titles, but I think Zach will win the first year. I'm going to go Zach, then Andy, then Pooj, then Floppy for my order for year one.
Okay. So, I guess now that we have covered each of the different divisions, yeah, because the NFC West is always a battle, regardless, because all 4 of those teams are usually pretty good. Since Walt, since you went last, let's start with you. What is your 1 through 7 for the NFC?
Number 1, I gotta give it to Q. I mean, no, I love those guys in that division. I think Q goes 6-0 in that division almost every season. That's gonna help him get number 1 seed, I think, a few times. First year, I'm gonna give it to him. So, I mean, he's got Russell Wilson too, so he's already got a great quarterback in a weaker division. So I think he gets the 1. I'm going to give the number 2 to Zach. Number 3, I'm going to give to Nick. I think Nick wins that division barely. It's going to be close, but Nick definitely played very well last cycle. And he showed when he got Aaron Rodgers that he was like one of the teams to beat. I know he has Jalen Hurts, but I think he improved enough to show me that he's going to compete a lot. But I think him, Tyler, and Estrada will each win the division at least one time. Year 1, I'm going to give it to Nick, though. My number 4, I'm going to give it to Squib. I think Jump will win a couple titles. Maybe even Blake, too. But to start off, Squib's easily got the best team. And he's probably the best skill in that division right now, with Carter being being right behind him, and Blake even being right behind him. But I think Squib's got that. My wild card, I'm going to give 2 from the East. I'm going to give Estrada number 5 and Tyler number 6. Actually, no. I'm going to give Estrada 5, I'm going to give Andy 6, and then Tyler 7. So, yeah. I mean, as much as I want to say someone coming out of the South, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, like I said, as much as I want it to happen, that's what I think will happen season 1.
All right, Mills, go ahead. Give us yours, because I know you have to be somewhere.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I did with the AFC, just pick the division winners real quick. So, I think coming out of the North, probably give it to Squib, at least for the first season. East, I don't know. I think I'm going to give it to Tyler with the Cowboys. I think his user is just super good compared with that team. Like I said before, at least for the first season, I'm going to give it to Tyler. Q out of the South, and then I think it's just a tough one between Zach and Andy, but just track record, I think I'm going to give it to Andy, even though he has probably the worst team in the division. I think he still wins it. If not Zach, but I think Andy edges it out. So for the 1 seed, I'll give it that to Q. 2, I'm going to give it to Tyler. 3, Squib. And then whoever comes out of the NFC West, but I think Andy would probably take the 4. And then for my wild cards, let's see here. I'm going to go Nick, Estrada, and Zach. I'm not sure where they fall, but let me see here. I'll go Estrada 5. No, sorry. I'll give Nick 5, Estrada 6, and then Zach 7.
All right. Mr. Beelis, let's go, sir.
All right. I'm going to take Q1. Give me Andy 2. Give me Estrada 3. Give me Squid 4 for your division winners. So Q, Andy, Estrada, Squib. And then my 3 wild card teams are going to be Nick 5, Zach 6, and Tyler 7. Sword straight to the point.
Alright. So for me, let's see. I think for number 1, it's got to be Q. Especially with Russell Wilson. I think Q is he is going to just lead that NFC. And again, like Walt said, I love all the guys in that division. But I think until they can prove that they can beat someone of Q's skill, it's going to be pretty hard to vote against Q in that division. I think I will take for number 2, I'm going to take Squib number 2. I think number 3 is going to be T. White, because he's always been in the playoffs almost every single season with his team. So I feel like give him a good team like the Cowboys, and he should be there. And I think number 4 is going to be the hardest. It's going to be whoever comes out, because they're going to beat the living hell out of each other in that division. I would not be surprised if they're all close to 3-3, 4-2, 2-4. I am going to take Pooj to come out of the NFC West, at least for Season 1, as the division leader. And then for the wild cards, I think we're going to see... Nick with the Eagles. I think we're going to see Andy with the Seahawks. And... honestly, I'm going to throw a little bit of a dark horse here. I think Chandler surprises people. I know the Buccaneers are a good team, but I don't think a lot of people are giving him any sort of chance. But I think Chandler comes out as the number 7 seed with the Buccaneers. So.
All right.
Let's see.
In general, I guess, since we've gone all divisions here at this point, do you guys have any sort of dark horse picks that we haven't talked about, either win their division or make the playoffs or potentially see in the Super Bowl, like a dark horse candidate or some random hot take?
I feel I kind of already gave mine. I've been hyping up Jelly more than most people. Not just because obviously I'm excited to have him back, but his track record is good. When he was back to the Bucks and to the Bills, like he was making playoffs consistently, and even, I mean, this is the worst team he's starting with probably in a while, and it's still a good team. So you give him a couple years, he was for sure making the playoffs consistently. But I think he could sneak in there year 1.
I'm probably going to
It doesn't have to be year 1, it just has to be in general.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, him. I'd say in the NFC for me, you know, I kind of hit on it as well. Pooj, I think he ended very strong. He's got a good overall team. It's pretty. I'm gonna admit it's pretty ballsy of Jaden to think he's gonna win that division based off the track record. I would absolutely love to see it. Yeah, I'd say those two are ones to look out for, competing for playoff spots.
I honestly think that the NFC is more likely to yield a dark horse, and I think that's why I had 2 of them in that section where I picked Pooj over 3 known competitors, and I also took Chandler as the number 7 seed over some of the other guys who are probably just as good. On the AFC side, I would not be surprised if we saw Dylan do pretty well with the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs are a very good team, but I would not be surprised if we see Dylan getting into the playoffs, sneaking in and competing. I mean, in our final season of Madden, he did beat Waltz and I think Oscar from the playoff contention. So,
I tell Dylan all the time, man. Like, I want you to succeed so bad, but until you prove me, I can't pick you for anything.
That's
such a good tag.
I'm rooting for him though. He knows that, but I can't pick him yet until I see some good things out of him.
Yeah, and on that side note, I think the other dark horse I'm going to take in the AFC, again, another good team, but I would not be surprised if Gonzo, with that Browns team, finds a way to upset some of the big horses in that AFC North. So,
for sure.
I only have kind of just one dark horse, and it was already mentioned, but I think Dylan will find success with that team. I don't think it'll be too hard to find success with that team, but yeah, I think I don't think first season, but definitely along the road, he's gonna make his way into playoffs.
So, do you have any?
Give me one season this year where all 4 AFC East teams make the playoffs. Give me one season with all 4 of us somehow sneaking in.
Definitely possible.
It is definitely possible.
So,
that'd probably be the division to do it.
So I'll take all 4 of us to make it. And I'll throw like a little little tidbit in here. I think at least one Super Bowl goes to Chandy this season. Or this cycle. Like Chandy gets one Super Bowl.
That's a good one. I'll add on to that. Let's say
I think Chandy gets one Super Bowl, and I think all the AFC East teams in one season make the playoffs.
let me add on to that. So maybe someone can end on because I know Rick's got to go soon. But if there's a team that has not won the Super Bowl yet, who do you think will win one that hasn't yet?
Oh man, I mean, there's a few, right? I mean, I guess how far back do you go? I guess we leave that question open for the league to pick from based on.
I'd say basically take out me, Andy,
Estrada,
Chuck.
and Chuck.
Has Jay never won one?
I've never won one.
Ooh.
Q didn't win one in GZ?
Q has been beaten as the final team.
He's been to 2.
He's been there. He's right there.
Here, we'll leave that one. Here, instead of us answering, we'll leave that open to the squad. Who that hasn't won a Super Bowl is gonna win one in 2023?
That's a good question to end this on. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns, just let us know. We are hoping to get this whole league started by the weekend. But with no further ado, gentlemen, you want to say goodbye?
Adios.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a great one.
We thank y'all for stopping in, Matt. Guys, have a great rest of your evening.
That hasn't won a Super Bowl is gonna win one in 2023.
That's a good question to end this on. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns, just let us know. We are hoping to get this whole league started by the weekend. But with no further ado, gentlemen, you want to say goodbye?
Adios.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a great one.
We thank y'all for stopping in, Matt. Guys, have a great rest of your evening.